मेरा बॉटल है पीछे ब्लैक वाला, आप भागवतम देते हो? थैंक यू, सॉरी। हरे कृष्ण। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन, यमुनातीरवनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय राधा कालचंदी राधा कालचंदी राधे। जय राधा कालचंदी राधा कालचंदी राधे। जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद, जय जय प्रभुपाद। जय जय गुरुदेव गुरुदेव गुरुदेव, जय जय गुरुदेव। श्री श्री राधा कालाचंद जी की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। can recite the next mantra together. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiraye nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya Bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati nashtaki. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So we'll continue reading from 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 4. We start with chapter 4 today. Please forgive me if I'm definitely going to make some mistakes or probably miss out on some points because I'm not prepared. It's last minute being here. So, so chapter 4, we'll cover text 1 through 7 today and we'll focus on text 3. Let's recite the Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaitva Gatadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we can also read the chapter summary, just to summarize what we are going to be covering. The chapter 4 is titled The Atrocities of King Kamsa. Would anybody like to read the chapter summary?
This chapter describes how Kamsa, following the advice of his demoniac friends, considered the persecution of small children to be very diplomatic. After Vasudeva bound himself with iron shackles as before, all the doors of the prison house closed by the influence of Yogamaya, who then began crying as a newborn child. This crying awakened the doorkeepers, who immediately informed Kamsa that a child had been born to Devaki. Upon hearing this news, Kamsa appeared with great force in the maternity room, and in spite of Devaki's pleas that the child be saved, the demon forcibly snatched the child from Devaki's hands and dashed the child against a rock. Unfortunately for Kamsa, however, the newborn child slipped away from his hands, rose above his head, and appeared as the 8-armed form of Durga. Durga then told Kamsa, "The enemy you contemplate has taken birth somewhere else. Therefore, you plan to persecute all the children will prove futile." According to the prophecy, the 8th child of Devaki would kill Kamsa, and therefore when Kamsa saw that the 8th child was a female and heard that his so-called enemy had taken birth elsewhere, he was struck with wonder. He decided to release Devaki and Vasudeva, and he admitted before them the wrongness of his atrocities. Falling at the feet of Devaki and Vasudeva, he begged their pardon and tried to convince them that because the events that had taken place were destined to happen, they should not be unhappy for having killed so many of their children. Devaki and Vasudeva, being naturally very pious, immediately excused Kamsa for his atrocities, and Kamsa, after seeing that his sister and brother-in-law were happy, returned to his home.
After the night passed, however, Kamsa called for his ministers and informed them of all that had happened. The ministers, who were all demons advised Kamsa that because his enemy had already taken birth somewhere else, all the children born within the past 10 days in the village within Kamsa's kingdom should be killed. Although the demigods always feared Kamsa, they should not be treated leniently since they were enemies. Kamsa should try his best to uproot their existence. The demoniac ministers further advised that Kamsa and the demoniac continue their enmity towards Vishnu because Vishnu is the original person among all the demigods. The Brahmanas, the cows, and the Vedas, austerities, truthfulness, control of the senses and mind, faithfulness, and mercy are among the different parts of the body of Vishnu, who is the origin of all the demigods, including Lord Brahma and Shiva. Therefore, the ministers advise the demigods, the saintly persons, the cows, and the Brahmana should be systematically persecuted. Strongly advised in this way by his friends, the demoniac ministers Kamsa approved of their instruction and considered it beneficial to be envious of the Brahmanas. Following Kamsa's order, therefore the demons began committing their atrocities all over Rajabhumi.
So we see in this chapter, as we heard this pastime so many times, right? Where Kansa was so had so much committed so many atrocities on Devaki and Vasudev. But where is this emerging from? Why is he being so cruel to all the inhabitants of Braj Bhumi and even especially Devaki and Vasudev? Would anybody like to try? Yes, it's the fear. He's so afraid that he wants to protect himself, that there's no compassion left in him. His intelligence is bewildered. He's being extremely strong and he's not realizing what will be the consequences of his actions. Because if you remember a few chapters ahead, when he was the one who was carrying Vasudeva and Devaki after their marriage, the procession, right? He was taking them to Vasudev's house or palace. He was so happy. He also did a lot of charity, and they were carrying so many chariots, and he was so happy. Which means he was not, by birth, he was not very cruel, but suddenly when that fear was instilled in him that the eighth child of Devaki would be the cause of his death, just to protect himself, and out of fear, he did so many atrocities. So this actually shows, right, when we are all instilled with fear in our hearts. It can be any degree, at any spectrum, fear of losing somebody, or fear of being dishonored, being rejected, or losing a job. There can be so many fears we have in this material world, and how we act in that situation, this should be our the parallel understanding while we're reading this chapter, that how can we deal with fear. At the same time, if you see contrast, Devaki and Vasudeva were also afraid of losing their children, but they were not devoid of compassion, but instead they were completely sheltered at the lotus feet of Lord. They took shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. And because of that, we just read that later they even forgive Kamsa for his atrocities. Imagine somebody has killed all of their children, and still they were able to forgive him, because a devotee always thinks that this is the divine plan, and even if I don't like it, even if whatever has been happening in my life or something happens all of a sudden, even if we do not like it, that Shastras teach us that the understanding should be to be submissive and to accept the will of the Lord. Like we also see that Arjun did the same. He did not want to fight at all. Somebody who was a Kshatriya who can fight any moment, protect people, but he did not want to fight. But he still did because he realized this is the will of Krishna. I'm not fighting for myself. I'm not fighting that people will honor me, give me land, give me palaces. But Arjun thought, I want to fight because this is the desire of Krishna. So we'll read text 1 through 7, translation.
Thereafter, all Shukadev Goswami continued, My dear King Parikshit, the doors inside and outside the house closed as before. Thereafter, the inhabitants of the house, especially the watchmen, heard the crying of the newborn child and thus awakened from their beds.
Can you also read the purport, Jaishnav? Then we can actually read some of the purports so that not many verses today.
The activities of Yogamaya are distinctly visible in this chapter, in which Devaki and Vasudeva excuse Kamsa for his devious, atrocious activities, and Kamsa becomes repentant and falls at their feet. Before the awakening of the watchman and others in the prison house, many other things happened. Krishna was born and transferred to the home of Yashoda in Gokul. The strong doors opened and again closed, and Vasudeva resumed his former condition of being shackled. The watchmen, however, could not understand all this. They awakened only when they heard the crying of the newborn child Yogamaya. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has remarked that the watchmen were just like dogs. At night, the dogs in the street act like watchmen. If one dog barks, many other dogs immediately follow it by barking. Although the street dogs are not appointed by anyone to act as a watchman, they think they are responsible for protecting the neighborhood, and as soon as someone unknown enters it, they all begin to bark. Both Yogamaya and Mahamaya act in all material activities, Prakriya Manani, Gunaya Karmani Sarvasha. But although the energy of the Supreme Personality of God acts under the Supreme Lord's direction, Maya Dakshina Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam, dog-like watchmen such as politicians and diplomats think that they are protecting their neighborhoods from the dangers of the outside world. These are actions of Maya, but one who surrenders to Krishna is relieved of the protection afforded by the dogs and dog-like guardians of this world, material world.
Such a nice explanation by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Yesterday was his appearance day, right? Amazing class by Mataji, and she described how previously what has happened is that all the watchmen went to sleep, all the inhabitants of Mathura, they went inside the house. Why? Because it was raining heavily. Nobody saw what was happening. It literally happened in open world, but nobody saw it. How discreetly Krishna can be, how amazing his plans could be. But how such nice point highlighted in this purport by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is this sense of fake controllership that we have within us, right? Like he's saying the politicians, the watchmen, they think like they are the guardians, right? But the moment they fell asleep, they could not take care of anything. So we should also realize that that fake sense of superiority or that controllership is sometimes it overpowers us. It overtakes our intelligence, and we do things thinking that, oh yes, I'm the doer in this situation. But as we see that we can be the most powerful person in the world, despite our position, we are still never the ultimate doer. It's Krishna, it's the Supreme Personality of Godhead who executes all our actions. Even the desire that actually comes within us, of course we have free will to desire, but for devotees, even the seed is sometimes given by Krishna. Like I remember how devotees used to tell me, like when I was growing up, that I used to say, wow, you're serving the deity, you're dressing the deities, it is so nice. I don't think I'll ever do that, and I had that thought, and they used to say, just desire to desire. At least even if you don't have the desire to, you don't even think that you're qualified, but having the desire to serve the Lord or devotees, just by that, Krishna fulfills all spiritual desires, right? And one more point that came to my mind was, okay, I think I'll come back to it. I forgot. We can move to text 2, please. Yes.
Thereafter, the watchman very quickly approached the king Kamsa, the ruler of the Bhoja dynasty, and submitted the news of the birth of Devaki's child. Kamsa, who had awaited this news very anxiously, immediately took action.
You can read the purport, Govinda. We'll read the purports also.
Kamsa was very anxiously waiting because of the prophecy that the eighth child of Devaki would kill him. This time, naturally, he was awake and waiting. And when the watchman approached him, he immediately took action to kill the child.
So text 3 is the focus words. We'll also recite the text and then we can read the translation and purport. Satal paturnam uthaya kalo yamiti vivalaha suti griham agaturnam praskalan mukta murdajaha satal paturnam uthaya kalo yamiti vivalaha suti griham agaturnam praskalan mukta murdajaha. Translation. I'll read translation. You can read the purport then. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Kamsa immediately got up from bed, thinking, here is Kala, the supreme time factor, which has taken birth to kill me. Thus overwhelmed, Kamsa, his hair scattered on his head, at once approached the place where the child had been born. Purport.
The word Kalha is significant. Although the child was born to kill Kamsa, Kamsa thought that this was the proper time to kill the child so that he himself would be saved. Kala is actually another name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead when he appears only for the purpose of killing. When Arjuna inquired from Krishna in his universal form, "Who are you?" the Lord presented himself as Kala, death personified to kill. By nature's law, when there is an unwanted increase in population, Kala appears. And by some arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, people are killed wholesale in different ways, by war, pestilence, famine, and so on. At that time, even atheistic political leaders go to a church, sorry, I thought that was funny, mosque or temple for protection by God, or God, and submissively say, God willing. Before that, they pay no attention to God, not caring to know God or His will. But when Kala appears, they say, God willing. Death is but another feature of the Supreme Kala, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At the time of death, the atheist must submit to this Supreme Kala, and then the Supreme Personality of Godhead takes away all the possessions. Mrityu
sarva haraschaham.
Thank you. And forces him to accept another body. Tataha dehantara prapti. Okay. This the atheists do not know, and if they do know, they neglect it. so that they may go on with their normal life. The Krishna consciousness movement is trying to teach them that although for a few years one may act as a great protector or a great watchman, with the appearance of Kala, death, one must take another body by the laws of nature. Not knowing this, they unnecessarily waste their time in their occupation as watchdogs and do not try to get the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As it is clearly said,
Aprapya mam nivartante mrityur samsara vartamani.
without Krishna consciousness, one is condemned to continue wandering in birth and death, not knowing what will happen in one's next birth.
So many points in this purport. You know how we say, as sure as death. So in life, one thing is certain, is that we all will die. Anything that has taken birth, any living entity, will have to die. But nobody really wonders or sometimes wonders but doesn't have an answer for is what happens after death. And in this purport, Prabhupada said, right, that especially when there is, you go to church or you go to mosque, this particular line that Prabhupada says, at that time, even atheistic political leaders go to a church, mosque or temple for protection by God and submissively say, God willing. So when there is atrocities or when there's a very difficult time, even atheistic people would realize that they have no control and they would say, okay, whatever God desires, whatever happens, God willingly. But it's too late at that time when you're trying to understand, okay, this is not in my hand and I have to let it go. Not because I have to let it go, but there is no other option. I cannot do anything in this situation and I am completely dependent on some, higher power, on the Supreme. But all their life, they have not done anything. All their life, they said in the Prabhupada said in the purport, right? They just want to avoid thinking about this, about what happens after that, or about the Supreme, because they'll have to discontinue their normal life. What is the normal life? Full of pleasures, full of constantly seeking pleasure. Not that the life is actually full of pleasure. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of suffering. But still, amidst that pain and suffering, we are trying to seek pleasure. We are trying to seek that how can I enjoy this even more? Of how can I enjoy today more than yesterday? How can I enjoy 10 years later more than how my life is today? That's the constant mindset. And that's why we are getting more degrees or trying to be successful, it involves stepping over the other person and getting a higher position just because I want to enjoy more. But if the concept of Supreme Personality comes or the concept of divine comes, suddenly people think that I will have to leave all of this. And that is why it's better to say God does not exist. It's better to not, believe in all of that because I want to just continue enjoying. But that's such a foolish mentality because they're actually not enjoying what they think they are doing. Just like this repeated example, right? When you're in a jail, in a prison house, and then let's say the superintendent comes and asks, today is your lucky day. Ask me for anything and I will grant you. And they say, wow, really? This is like once in a lifetime opportunity. How about you install a fridge and an AC in my prison house? And you're like, what a fool, because you could have just escaped this jail and outside there is full freedom. And similarly, that's the thing that we think, wow, I got a lottery, I got a wonderful life, I got a wonderful wife, husband. I am just like, I have a beach house, I'll just go to Maldives, wherever you want to go, and I'll just enjoy. So nice. But just for that little bit of pleasure, I have to work. This time I have to get promotion. I have to work even on Sundays. I have to work even on Saturdays. It's okay. I have to do this, right? Just because I want to enjoy. But Krishna is saying, you're still limitedly enjoying, and this is not even close to being happy or blissful. This is just absence of suffering. Just like when you're swimming in the water and no, let's say somebody put your head inside the water and your head is just inside and you want to breathe. And they say, okay, for 10 seconds, I'll give you some fresh air. And you're like, okay, for 10 seconds, you're relieved. And then you go back in water. So that 10 seconds, we are finding those 10 seconds every day, every day, every second of our life. Just those 10 seconds if we can get moments of pleasure. Shri Radha Kalajan ji ki jai. So we're looking for that, craving for it. And we think that is happiness, but that is just, Prabhupada has said that is just absence of suffering. So you're basically on a number line when we are from negative, 0 and positive, right? We're just dwindling in this material world from 0 to negative. There is no positive that's actually coming. 0 for us is like, wow, this is the best we can ever get. But it's not. And Prabhupada has said in many purposes, right? You're chewing the chewed. This happens in every lifetime. Even now we are sitting here. Yes, we are devotees. We are blessed that we have this awareness and consciousness. But we've been through so many lifetimes. We've been through this, we've chewed this thought process for n number of lives. And we still forget it sometimes in the midst of our duties, in our roles and responsibilities. When sometimes jealousy comes, competitiveness comes, any feeling comes, we forget it. We forget Prabhupada's teachings. We forget the purpose of life. But then somebody reminds us, okay, some devotee reminds us, or there is some way we can get that reminder. But imagine, even if we have a constant spiritual environment, still we can forget. What to speak about people who do not have that association. Even in the previous purport, when we were talking about the atrocities of Kamsa, when Yogmaya slipped from his hand and then he thought that, okay, the child has taken birth elsewhere, he went to sleep at night, anxiously, but next day he called his ministers, and what did they advise? We should kill every child, all the children in Vrajbhumi. So the association that Kamsa had also, the ministers, they completely deluded his intelligence. They completely exploited him as a king. That's why we say, right, you need to be a Raj Rishi. You need to be a king who is advised by, you should have saintly qualities, but that actually comes when you have amazing Brahmanical quality advisors. You have Brahmanas who you seek advice from. And that's what Kamsa didn't have. So, anything else in this purport? You have a point?
Yeah, I thought it was very interesting that when we talked about the atheists, that even in the face of fear, where they're asking mercy from the Lord, even then that desire for mercy is still fruitive. It's still like, oh, I need this right now so that I can go back to my beach house.
Yeah, that's because we have materialistic desires. We still continue. We don't. It takes purification for us to come to a level that we can develop spiritual desire for the Lord. Because this is so common, right? Even since childhood we are taught, okay, you're going to temple, fold your hands, whatever you want to ask, you can ask the deity in front of you. You can pray to them. So we're always taught you can ask, and in terms of giving also, yes, we're taught like give some charity, we'll give a 100 rupee note or a 500 rupee note and we'll put it in the donation box. Here if you talk about $20, $100, we'll put in the donation box, but nobody teaches us that you need to donate your heart. You need to connect your heart with the person standing there on the altar. That's something which is mainstream religious activities don't teach that, but devotional life actually teaches that everything depends to Krishna. You're not a giver here. Everything anyway belongs to him. What you're just coming here and doing is you're identifying that who is the ultimate giver, who is your shelter, who is the person who's been protecting you, what is the purpose of your life, what love really means. All these things are actually clarified to us in spiritual life. Before that, we don't really know all this. So Prabhupada has taught us that we need to have a sambandha, we need to have a relationship with the Lord. And when we have relationship with somebody, and that relationship, when it becomes selfless and filled with love, you're not thinking about what I can take from this person, but we think of how I can serve this person, how I can serve Krishna, how I can love him, how I can love his devotees. That is the so like you said that if Krishna will fulfill even materialistic desires sometimes, depending if we have the in our karma bank balance, if we have that, Krishna will give it to us. But what we really want from him is his merciful glance, his blessings, so that we are not able to forget him. That's the whole idea. Let's move to text 4.
Devaki helplessly, piteously appealed to Kamsa. My dear brother, all good fortune unto you. Don't kill this girl, she will be your daughter-in-law. Indeed, it is unworthy of you to kill a woman.
Purport. Prabhuji, you can read the purport also, please. Oh, anybody can read.
Kamsa had previously excused Devaki because he thought that a woman should not be killed, especially when pregnant. But now, by the influence of Maya, he was prepared to kill a woman, not only a woman, but a small, helpless, newborn child. Devaki wanted to save her brother from this terrible, sinful act. Therefore, she told him, don't be so atrocious as to kill a female child. Let there be all good fortune for you. Demons can do anything for their personal benefit, not considering what is pious or vicious. But Devaki, on the contrary, although safe because she had already given birth to her own son, Krishna, was anxious to save the daughter of someone else. This was natural for her.
So Devaki is trying to protect her child by invoking compassion within Kamsa's heart that please don't kill. This is a newborn child, and also it's a woman, and you should not get the sin for that. And she's trying to safeguard her child. But Devaki, on the contrary, although safe because she had already given birth to her own sons, Kans was anxious to save the daughter of someone else. This was natural for her. Yeah, we can move to text 5.
My dear brother, by the influence of destiny, you have already killed many babies, each of them as bright and beautiful as fire. But kindly spare this daughter. Give her to me as your gift. Purport. Here we see that Devaki first focused Kamsa's attention on his atrocious activities like killing of her many sons. Then she wanted to compromise with him by saying that whatever he had done was not his fault but was ordained by destiny. Then she appealed to him to give her the daughter as a gift. Devaki was the daughter of a Kshatriya and knew how to play the political game. In politics, there are different methods of achieving success. First repression, dhamma, then compromise, sama, and then asking for a gift, dana. Devaki first adopted the policy of repression by directly attacking Kamsa for having cruelly, atrociously killed her babies. Then she compromised by saying that this was not his fault, and then she begged for a gift. As we learn from the history of the Mahabharata or Greater India, the wives and daughters of the ruling class, the Kshatriyas, knew the political game. But we never find that a woman was given the post of chief executive. This is in accordance with the injunctions of Manu Samhita, but unfortunately Manu Samhita is now being insulted, and the Aryans, the members of Vedic society, cannot do anything. Such is the nature of Kali Yuga. Nothing happens unless ordained by destiny. Tasyeva heto prayateta kovido na labhyate yad brahmanam upari ada tal labhyate dukhavad antaya sukham kalena sarvatra gambhira ramhasa. Devaki knew very well that because the killing of her many children had been ordained by destiny, Kamsa was not to be blamed. There was no need to give good instructions to Kamsa. Upadesho hi murkhanam prakopaya na santaye, Chanakya Pandit. If a foolish person is given good instructions, he becomes more and more angry. Moreover, a cruel person is more dangerous than a snake. A snake and a cruel person are both cruel, but a cruel person is more dangerous because although a snake can be charmed by mantras or subdued by herbs, a cruel person cannot be subdued by any means. Such was the nature of Kamsa.
That's such a nice purport by Prabhupada. So we're seeing in this text what's happening. Devaki is trying to, with her words, with her different techniques, she's trying to make Kamsa understand, or at the least trying to save the life of the baby, the newborn baby. So she first tries to attack Kamsa by reminding him what atrocities you've already done. You've already killed so many children, and now you need to spare life. Now you want to kill this girl also. And then she tries to compromise, and she tries to say, now this is a girl, this is a woman, a girl child. You should not kill. She should not kill this baby. And so this kind of, Prabhupada says that she was a daughter of, she had a political mindset. But this is this similar scenario we saw earlier. You remember when somebody was trying to, Vasudev, when the, the Akashvani happened, Akashvani? The prophecy, when the prophecy was announced that Kamsa would be killed, that time Vasudev tried every reasoning very calmly, because he knew, at that time, what was the situation? Kamsa was holding Devaki by her hair, and he had the sword in his right hand, and he was about to just cut the throat of Devaki. He was just about to kill Devaki. That was, if you're already prepared that you want to do this, that is a very sensitive time. It was very time sensitive, and Vasudeva, with his intelligence, very calmly, he stopped Kamsa with a lot of reasonings, right? I don't remember all of them right now, but he did try to pacify him, and he said that, don't worry, I will bring every child to you, and that's when Kamsa was he was satisfied that I know that Vasudeva is true of his words. He's an honest man, and he will keep his promise. And that's why at that time, because Vasudeva intelligence told him that right now save the life of Devaki. That was the most important thing. So that's what he did. And right now Devaki is trying to also pacify Kamsa. There's such a wonderful line that came, that when you're trying to say good things, if a foolish person is given good instructions, he becomes more and more angry. This is what we see usually when we are preaching, or not just preaching. Sometimes we fight with people or our family members, and we realize, okay, right now is not the time to preach this person or give good instructions, because this person is not going to understand. Not that he's foolish, but this person will not understand. And it'll only make them more angry and angry. I've seen a lot of videos, I think you shared some time ago, for book distribution, and somebody's already attacking, what is this? What is Jesus doing? What is Krishna doing? And then you go and tell them, no, they are the cause of all cause. If you give all that preachy, if you preach them, they'll get more and more angry, right? They will not try to, it won't make sense to them. And so that's why Devaki, who is so intelligent, so knowledgeable, she's not giving high preachy words to Kamsa right now, but she's coming down to his level and trying to explain him that whatever works, for him right now, and whatever makes him understand. So even this further Prabhupada says that a snake and a cruel person are both cruel. But a cruel, imagine, cruel person is being compared to a snake who is poisonous. But a cruel person is more dangerous, because although a snake can be charmed by mantras or subdued by herbs, a cruel person cannot be subdued by any means. Why? What does it mean? Because when you are cruel, you're already obsessing over that, like a thought that I want to harm this person, or I want to do this. Like if something by mistake you do, like I was hearing like yesterday's lecture. In that lecture, Radhika Raman Prabhu, he was giving this example that sometimes we make mistake, and that as compared to when we deliberately try to hurt someone. Like you're on a bus and you by mistake you step on somebody's foot, and they say, "Excuse me, you're stepping." And you'll be like, "I'm so sorry." You'll feel immensely guilty, and be like, "I'm really sorry, I didn't realize." And done. They'll forgive you. The next situation where you're deliberately stepping on somebody's feet, and they'll be like, "Hey, you're stepping on my feet." I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. Like you'll try to deny your what you're trying to do at that time, your intention of hurting the other person. You'll go in that mode of ignorance, right? So that's what a cruel person who goes in that zone that you want to hurt people around you. You want to hurt their ego, or you want to hurt them physically, mentally, emotionally. There are all kind of abuses that are there. And then you try to, the cruelty is when you try to not accept that I am being harsh on this person. That's when there's no compassion within your heart. And that is why this is compared that person is worse or more dangerous than a snake. So we'll move to text 6.
My Lord, my brother, I'm very poor, being bereft of all my children, but still I am your younger sister, and therefore it would be worthy of you to give me this last child as a gift.
See, in this situation, she's addressing Kansa as my lord, my brother. I am very poor. You see the words? She's really begging to Kansa at this moment. And she's putting him in a higher exalted position by referring to him as Lord, because why is she saying I'm very poor?
Because she's lost all her children.
Yeah, she's lost all her children, and at this time she's not in control of anything. Like she's at the mercy of Kansa right now, because even though he's such a cruel man, but she's asking for something, right? I think maybe that's also another reason that she's asking for something. She's begging, and she's like, I have nothing. And the biggest reason, she lost all her children. So being bereft of all my children, but I'm still your younger sister. She's trying to evoke compassion, and therefore it would be worthy of you to give me this last child as a gift. So how much efforts that Devaki and Vasudev have made, this really shows that they were really surrendered to the Lord. They were like, even if I have to beg this cruel brother of mine, I'll do that just because I want to serve the Lord. And remember in the previous purpose, it came where I think Devaki constantly she prayed. She was very anxious to see the 4-handed form of Krishna, as Vishnu, and she said, please hide this, right? Even though she had just glorified the Lord, you're the cause of all causes, but the fear came, Kansa might kill you. And it was explained in the class that these are two contradictory emotions. Like on one hand, you're the Supreme Lord, and I'm afraid Kansa will kill you. Why? Because she was overwhelmed with motherly affection. She had Vatsalya Prem, and when you have that, you don't see, like Yashoda never saw Krishna as the Supreme Lord. So Devaki was struck with like she was anxious because she didn't want to she didn't want to see Krishna being harmed, and that's what she did. So we'll move to text 7.
Sukhdev Goswami continued, piteously embracing her daughter and crying, Devaki begged Kamsa for the child. But he was so cruel that he chastised her and forcibly snatched the child from her hands. Purport: although Devaki was crying like a very poor woman, actually she was not poor. and therefore the word used here is Dinavat. She had already given birth to Krishna. Therefore, who could have been richer than she? Even the demigods had come to offer prayers to Devaki, but she played the part of a poor, piteously afflicted woman because she wanted to save the daughter of Yashoda.
Imagine Lord taking birth from your womb. I mean, you might, that's like, it might just hit you like, wow, Krishna has desired to take birth in my womb. I am so special. Like that might come to her, but she right now is so compassionate that even this child doesn't belong to her. But she's trying to save this girl child, the daughter of Yashoda, because that's her motherly love, or just as a soul, she's so compassionate. She wants to save the daughter. That's her mood. That was the last, text 7 was the last for today. Okay. So tomorrow, not tomorrow, Monday will be continued. It'll continue from here, text 8, and we can see how the amazing pastime unfolds. But we'll pause here, and if there are any, there might be so many points, anything that came to your mind that you want to share about what we read today, discussed today, or any questions, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Vrinda Sevika, thank you for saving the day.
Krishna saved me.
Jai. This is such a beautiful section with such a spotlight on Devaki, and you brought out all the points so nicely. And in the beginning, you were mentioning how Devaki's forgiveness. She was so tortured by Kamsa, and yet she was willing to forgive him. That, and how you were saying forgiveness also comes from the strength. If we are fearful, we can't. But she was fearless, and so she had that ability to forgive. And then you also brought out that how compassionate she was. One point I really liked also is that Prabhupada said she's the daughter of a king, so she was political also. So she was equally qualified in all respects as her husband. But because whatever her role was, she was playing. She didn't feel the need to show off her political qualifications.
By getting a post or something
Yes,
like that. Yeah.
yes. That was so beautiful. That was such a beautiful point. But she knew how to utilize all those skills, and as it was needed, she used them to the best. So that was also a beautiful point. And also, then her compassion, how much it extends not just to save herself or just to forgive her brother, but to try her best to save Yashoda's daughter. Knowing that her son is safe, she's like, no, this is Yashoda's daughter. Please let me save her. Please let me try to save her. So this was such a beautiful journey, witnessing Devaki's different qualities and moods and beautiful nature. So thank you.
You've so nicely summarized all her qualities, and we can see that, this is how a devotee is, right? Krishna gives the right intelligence. Krishna gives you all the amazing qualities, which no other process in life or any other yoga can give us, that Bhakti Yoga can give, because we've read this time and again that pure devotional service, when you not even till the point of purity, but when you keep practicing devotional service, your purification keeps happening. It is actually, I've heard this Shuddhikaran and Buddhikaran, which means purification, and you also get intelligence, the right intelligence to act and to go ahead in your life. Krishna gives you that. You don't have to separately, get jnana, vijnana, so much, efforts in doing that. Just with your heart and with sincerity, doing what we are doing. Waking up, chanting our rounds, coming for darshan, doing some reading, hearing, serving. At home can be serving. We cook for the deities. We offer it to our family members, or we call someone. We preach them just for 5 minutes. You have a talk with your family member. You give some Krishna conscious um, points to them or something, and just being honest in your approach, and just Krishna gifts you with the right intelligence. So yes, amazing qualities of Devaki, and that compassion and forgiveness was not limited to just herself or her children. She wanted to save the child of another person also here. So a devotee's compassion, like, it can illuminate the world. It can, how it is said that the love of gopis for Krishna, even one drop of the whole ocean of love they have, that one drop, if it can submerge all of us, we can all swim in that one drop of love a gopi has, which means a pure devotee can save the world, just like Srila Prabhupada did, right? One pure devotee, and boom, like there's a blast of love for the Lord, and everybody's dancing in that. So we can make a lot of difference, and just like we're hearing about Devaki, we can try to be examples. Not saying that that is the purpose of our life, but you automatically will become a nice character for people around you who will be inspired by you, and that will bring them to Krishna consciousness, instead of giving all the preachy terms and teachings. But if we just try to be very authentic in our approach, that means we have to work on ourselves first. That is where it starts, right? We start with our purification, and then it expands. That's why we say that it works at individual level, and then it reaches to the whole community. If we as individuals work on our bhakti, on our devotional life, it will spread in the whole community. Then the whole community becomes such nice, like flowers of devotion is blooming in their heart, and you become each other's shelter. But if we think, oh, because I am in such and such community, such and such people are there, that's why my bhakti is not going good. That cannot be the that's a reversal understanding, which is not correct, because even in Lanka, where all the demons were there, Vibhishan was an exemplary devotee, right? He could have said, I live in a community of rascals and demons, but he still had a wonderful consciousness. And contrary, Mantara was in Ayodhya. In Ayodhya, everybody loved Ram. Everybody was spiritual. That was the perfect Ram Rajya, like that was the perfect time where it existed, where everybody was happy. They had no lack of wealth. There was no lack of everything was available to them. But still, there was somebody called Mantara in that community also who was dissatisfied, and who when you're dissatisfied, you have she had an intention to just destroy the whole Ayodhya Dham. So it actually comes down to us, how individually we want to work on ourselves, and then we'll see good in others also. So, yeah. Is there any other point or question?
Sometimes doctors in hospitals tell the family of the patient that there's nothing more we can do. Now it's in God's hands. So whose hands was it in before it was in God's hands?
Amazing point. Yes, that is something we need to reflect, right? It only occurs only at the time of somebody's death. Even in this is amazing. This is something we should ask. Whose hands was it before that? And but material world, the Maya is so strong. That moment it might hit you as a family member. Oh, yeah, nothing is in my control. But it's too late. After 2 days, you're again back to normal life. You forget it. Maya is so strong. Nice point. Any other point or any other question? Then we can wrap up for today. Thank you so much for joining. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anant Koti Bhakt Vaishnav Vrind ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All devotees ki